Hey guys, welcome to a really fun class. We're going to be playing with some quarter tilas in this design. And this is part of the Sam's Bead Shop holiday gift making series. So in this series, we're going to inspire you with some faster makes for holiday gifting using beautiful and inspiring materials. And in today's design, I have a cool peyote stitch. So if you've ever done peyote stitch before, even count, super easy, here's how to do it with quarter tilas. And this is fun because you take those quarter tilas and you can turn them into something really fabulous very quick. And this design is very quick to stitch up. So I think you're going to love it. Here's what you're going to need. Start with a 9-gram bag of the Sam's Bead Shop quarter tilas. You can get any of their mixes. The one I'm holding in my hand here is called Sweet Dreams. And I combined it with size 11 seed beads in a silver lined purple. You can find this on Sam's Bead Shop homepage, shopping page. And then also I'm going to be using a stitch-in magnetic clasp. But at the part of the video where we do this, I do mention a few tips and tricks for if you're using other clasp types. So, but this is probably the easiest and the most stunning, I think. And you can use other colors too, other mixed colors. For your thread, you're going to want to use some Fireline or some Wildfire. Those are going to be you're going to want to go with like a stronger thread. And let's see, last but not least, you're going to want to have a burner or some scissors and a size 11 or a size 10 beading needle. So all those materials are all you need to get started. And the design itself is super, super easy. So be sure to check out all the other inspiration for gift making on the YouTube channel. But for this one, let's dive in. All right, so to get started, you're going to want to put a needle on both ends of your thread. So pull about 100 to 120 inches and put a needle on each end. String a seed bead, an 11/0 seed bead, and holding those needles together, just bring that seed bead to the midpoint of your thread. And then go ahead and pick up a TILA bead on each of your needles. And then pick up one more TILA bead, and this time bring your needles through each of the holes. So just like that. And now again, holding those needles together, go ahead and bring that all down to the midpoint. And what you'll get is a little, kind of looks like wings or arms, and it's kind of cute. So you're going for that. Let me put it flat on the mat so it looks a little better. You can also pull that working and tail thread apart to tighten it and get you more of a pop there. And so it won't sit exactly perfect until you have the other tilas with it, holding it all in place. But roughly speaking, you're going to go for something that looks just like that. And so we're just going to repeat what we've been doing, picking up a TILA bead on each needle and then bringing them through one TILA bead. So here's one new one, and then you want to pick up a TILA bead and bring that onto both needles and slide that down. And go ahead and pull your working and tail thread apart each time if you'd like to. It tightens up everything and you can get a look at it. What you should have might look a little bit wonky. They're going to flip around a little bit. Again, we'll need to get on that next row to really tighten it. But you'll have something that's looking just like that. So if you would like to make a cuff that is the same width as ours, you're going to want to repeat what we just did 2 more times. And so that means each row you're going to be adding 4 tilas. And this is even count peyote stitch, so you'll want to add, starting with 2 one on each needle, right? And then bring each needle through 1 using each of the holes. Again, just like that. Slide that down. And I like to just pull those working and tail threads apart to tighten that up. So you see what we're getting? Let's do that one more time. Bring each one. And then we'll pick up a TILA and bring that on through each bead. onto both needles. Okay, so let me hold this up a little closer. It's going to look a little bit like this. Let me flip that one over so it looks where it's supposed to go. Okay. And it won't be super tight for you at this step. It's going to look like that. If you got that, you've got it right. So that is actually, speaking in peyote stitch terms, that's rows 1, 2, and 3. So if this was a pattern, maybe we do a pattern at some point. We should. But we're going to keep it simple. Just mix it all up. Use one bag of your beautiful TILA mixes. And that will be a great way to learn this step and get started. So every row from here out is going to start the same way. You're going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead and 1 TILA bead. And then bring your needle through the next up bead. So the next up bead is this TILA bead right here, working with this side. And so we'll go through the second hole of that TILA bead. And this is it's hard to keep tight at this stage. So what I usually do is right here, after I've gotten my needle through it, I'll tighten it again by pulling those threads apart. And then I'll just kind of push down on it on the mat. You can also hold it in your fingers and just pull that through. And so that will sit like that. And don't worry if things move around on you a little bit. I'm going to show a step that I do every few rows or so that tightens everything up. But so far, this is what we're going for. Okay, so let's pick up another TILA. And skipping the next space here, it'll be really clear there'll be these spaces, right? See how there's a space right there? You want to go through this next TILA bead, through that second hole. And again, if helpful, you can just take and hold everything down on the mat like that with your finger, and that will keep everything nice and tight. Sometimes the TILAs flip on you, they do little spinnies, and just keep a look at it. Make sure they're staying like that. And don't worry about if it gets a little bit loose, that's okay too. We're going to fix all that. So far, so good. Let's do that 2 more times. Pick up another bead. Next one. And let's get one more. And go through the last one. All right. So you'll have, I'm just going to get them to stay like this. You'll have something that looks like that after you add the next row. So super easy, really nice, super simple, even count pattern. If you would like to, at this step, there is a little trick you can do that will weave in, and not necessarily weaving in, maybe that's not the right word, but it will lock in. That's the word I'm looking for. It's going to lock in each of these rows. If you take your needle and on each of the working sides, take a look at where we're exiting right now. We're coming out of the second hole of this TILA bead. If you want, you can go back through the first hole on that TILA and then just go ahead and bring your needle through. And what's going to happen as you bring your needle through is it's going to go through these holes like that. Do you see how it's going into the next one on the outside hole, outside, all the way down? Make sure you don't miss any. Make sure that your needle went through all of them. And then pull that through. Okay. We went down through all of that. Okay. And so we're exiting from that spot right there. And what we need to do now is just go through the 11-0 seed bead and go up through all of those. Okay, so that little step right there, it was just a trip back and through. See, it was just making a MIYUKI all the way through those. That step will make it easier for you to keep everything tight as you're adding the next rows. I don't do that every row. I do it like every so often. And I'm going to go ahead and do this on the other side with the other side of the starting thread. So again, that's just going through all those beads on that side. And I'm making a MIYUKI by going through the 11-0 and then go through all of these beads here. And you can check on both sides, make sure you didn't, see I missed one there. Do you see it? See the needle missed that one? It's easy to do, so just be really careful if you're going to do this. This locking step is totally optional. It's just, it does make it a lot tighter. Right. So you see it's like a lot less floppy and it's a lot easier to work with. It doesn't make the bracelet any less flowy. It doesn't make it tight. The way it's worn still has lots of motion. But if you're ever feeling as you're stitching like, oh my goodness, this is getting loose on me, it's being wonky, I don't like it, that step will increase your confidence with it when you're adding rows. So let's add a few more rows together. I'm going to get an 11-0 seed bead. Pick up another TILA and go down through this bead right here. So the open side of the TILA, the one that doesn't have a thread running through it yet. And then just keep going. Pick up another one. Go through the next one. And I work holding it, but you don't have to. It's just a little easier. And I kind of pinch all the beads, especially if I haven't done a lock like we just did with the little looping around U-turn thing. If you haven't done that, this is a way to get to keep going without having to do that, is you just kind of pinch those beads in your hands. Let me show you a row that's not locked as I work it. So this one not locked, pick up another 11-0 and pick up a TILA bead and pulling tight one more time right here, see? Pinch it, just pinch it really tightly and then go through those beads. You'll get that. And pick up another one. And again, I'm holding the bead that I'm going into steady in my hand, just like that. It does actually really, really make it easier. Same thing here. Hold that one. And hold this edge one. So you see we're just building. And let me just flip those. Building out in this direction with one side of the thread. And at any point, I can pick up the other side, which we left long here. And I've actually still got my needle on it from when we started. At any point I'd like to, I can pick up my 11-0 seed bead, my next TILA, and just simply work back into that side in the same exact way. You could even flip it over and it would look identical. You wouldn't know which side you were on. Same exact process here. And in this case, I would probably pick it up and flip it and work the same way that I've been working it, just holding it, bringing those beads through. Look at these dreamy colors. Oh my goodness, they're so pretty. There's a perfect name for this, actually. This is the Sweet Dreams mix. And it is beautiful. Let me show you the locking pass one more time. So you'd be exiting from the having finished a row, right? Then you just go back through right in a row through all those TILA beads, right? Make sure you didn't skip any. You can kind of feel it, you know, on the side that you're holding. Go through the 11-0. And then down through all those beads on that side. So feel free to do that little locking turn anytime you want. It's not required, but it does kind of make it a little easier. You can do it every row if you want. I truthfully did not do it every row. I go for like 3 rows maybe, and then I do it. So like every 3rd row is locked in. And I think for me that just kind of works. So I just keep going. Just like that, working both sides. So how we started it means you probably will not have to add thread unless you want it to be maybe a little bit longer than 7.5 or so. And I'm going to work through a 9-gram bag and get you an exact measure for how long of a bracelet you'll get with the 9-gram bag. So keep working, and let's meet back here to measure and put the clasp on. Now, if you did the really long starting from the middle start, you probably won't need to add thread, but just in case you find yourself needing to, it's really easy to do. Leave your old working thread in place, and then just work a new strand in, just weave in a new strand, and then start stitching some new rows. And after you've finished some new rows, bring the new strand up into the work. And so what I actually did here was I joined the piece that I was showing starting to my existing piece so that I could get a true 1 bag measurement. Because so far I've only worked with just 1 bag here of the Sweet Dreams mix. Sorry about that, my brain today. And so I've actually got 3 tails to weave in. So I'm just going to show you weaving in what that looks like so you can get the idea of that. So I'm going to weave in this strand here. And the way to do that, honestly, is just go through some beads. So you just go through a bunch of these rows, and notice I'm exiting from just like one of these TILAs right here, a random TILA. You can make turns and that thread will not show. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to make a turn along the edge of that TILA bead. Just don't cross any of the open spaces, right? But it's okay to go from one hole to the other and turn around. See how I did that? So that's totally okay to do, and it's a really great way to rather quickly lock in thread. I find that it works really well. And then you can go through rows as we've been doing for the lock-in passes. Looks kind of similar to what we were doing for that. And then here I'll just show you another turn through a TILA bead here. So just like that. Just be gentle with your TILAs, they're real delicate bead. All right, I'm trying to get through all of them here. And then of course you can just trim at any point when you feel like you've done enough weaving in. It's me just checking I got through all of them. And so that is how you weave in a strand of thread. You just leave the old one in place, make some new rows, and then weave that old thread up into the new rows that you just made. Then when you're ready, you can just go ahead and burn that end and carry on with your beautiful work. All right, so I used all of the beads in a 9-gram bag so that I could get you a total measure here. Let me just move the camera up a little bit here. Sorry about that. It's really low. Okay, there we go. So here's what one of these bags measured out to. 7. So you can get a 7-inch bracelet before your clasp. And for a clasp, lots of options, but the super easiest way to finish it would be to get one of these stitch-in ones. And so that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. But another option, just in case you're looking for another option, is you could just fill in each of the edges with seed beads. And in the center one, just put a jump ring. And you could attach any clasp that way. But this one looked really fun, so I thought, hey, let's try that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach each side of it. Let's go back down here. Let's work on that side. I'm going to stitch in basically like that. And it'll be super, super easy. So let me get, this side doesn't have a needle on it, so let me just bring the other side over. And it looks like both of my ends kind of have the same down bead. Let me show you what I mean by that. So you see how this one, the down bead is on the top here, and on this one also the down bead is on the top. You'll most likely have the same configuration as me if you finished a row after adding an 11-0. So let's go ahead and just stitch that on. Okay. So a couple of ways you can get to here. And it's just really kind of up to you what you think looks pretty. You can pick up 2 11-0. So I'm going to do that. Pick up 2 11-0. But you could also weave around to get to this bead here, heading that way, and just attach it that way. But I'm going to see what 2 11-0 looks like just to kind of finish up the top edge here. I'm thinking it will actually look pretty symmetrical if I do that. So let's look and see. Yeah, I think I do like that. Well, let's go ahead and go with it. And I'm going to go through the clasp. And right now I've got it connected both sides, and that's on purpose so I can see I'm attaching the bottom one in the right orientation, right? And so go through the next TILA bead here. So when I put the other side on, I'm going to want to make sure that this one goes flipped with the magnet side up. And I'll show you that. Let's get an 11-0 seed bead before we go through this bead. So you see what we've done so far is we did 2 11-0. We went through the TILA, we added the stitch in, went through the TILA, added an 11-0, went through that TILA. Now I'm going to go through the stitch in and the next TILA. And then all I have left to do is weave around and reinforce. So it's going to look like that. Let's get through the next TILA bead here. There we go. It's actually a really perfect fit, I think. What do you think? It looks nice, right? So go ahead and just weave around if you like that. And again, there's lots of different ways you could always skip adding these two. I just thought they looked nice. But if you wanted to, you could just weave back through, you know, and get to there. Lots of things you could do. But I do think this looks good. So to weave around and reinforce it, you are going to need to make some turns through the TILAs. Just go through a few. I think probably the easiest way, honestly, is just to go through all. So just a straight shot through all of those beads there. So you'll be going through the up and the down beads kind of back and forth like that. And that'll put you right here where we were. From there, you can just go through the 11-0s that you added. And I actually was able to get one swoop with the needle through that. I'm going to do that one more time, and then I'm going to weave in the way that I showed you about adding thread the same way. Just make some turns in the TILAs, and then let's put the other side on. All right, so I just did a bunch of weaving in. Nice solid connection there. It looks really good. I have left the other side of the clasp on it so I can do this. Bring the other side over and flip it. And then what you want to do is connect here like that. And I do that so I know that I've got it to, it's going to be a little hard to see, guys, the way I've got it laid over this one. But what I'm going for is that it's aligned like this, and I want to see which teeth I need to align with which section. So I'm going to be putting the first one after this TILA right here, and then the bottom TILA will have that one. So how to do that? Just remove. Oops. It's a really strong magnet, so bear with me here. Okay, so I know it was, woo! I know it was like this, right? So I know it's going to go like this. So flipping it like that. And I know I want to go like that. So same thing, 2 11-0. And then head down through here. $11.0. Seed bead finding, not seed bead, sorry. TILA finding TILA. Just like that. And it looks like I didn't quite get through that last TILA there. The magnet will grab your needle, so just have to kind of make it work. There we go. And I would actually recommend before you weave in and make this stronger, just do a little quick test and make sure that it's right. Don't try to connect it because it'll be, yeah, see how it's going to go. It's good. All right, let's reinforce that and then we're all done. And there we go. Okay, so blink, I'll connect it. And so if you're using everything that I've got here, you've got a whole 9-gram bag used, and you're using the same clasp. Let me get you just another measure really quick. So in this case, you will have when it's clasped, and with this kind of clasp, if you just measure one side, but then just measure the bottom of the other one, because remember it's gonna lay on top of itself. So you want to measure from the bottom of one side. So let me show you. Make sure it's there. Bottom of one side like that. You're gonna get 7 3/4-ish with one bag. And so worn right on the wrist kind of tightly, you can say, let's say 7.5, just to be safe. And look how pretty that is. Oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. Wow. So pretty. So that is how to do peyote stitch with a quarter tila. So here it is, all finished. We did it. It's a really fast design. It's so nice. And I think that it would be a great gift for any recipient. They would be so excited to receive super flowy, sparkly bracelet like that. Really fun design. And so be sure to check out the other inspo that is on Sam's Bead Shop YouTube channel for your holiday gift making. A bunch of us have gotten together and put ideas for your holiday gifts up on the YouTube channel. So be sure to check those out as well. And if you make one of these gorgeous designs, I would love to see it. If you post in Gem Chat, I'll be keeping my eyes peeled to see beautiful, inspiring magic mosaic cuffs. All right, happy beading and see you for the next one.